Start recording whenever. I'm not going to say anything crazy.
Dope. Yeah, okay. So on that note, we're starting the podcast, so no one said anything crazy. But no, me and Eddie were just sitting here. This is the first time us talking, and I don't really start the podcast like this, but I wanted to with this one because we're sitting going back and talking about the channel. By the way, this is Eddie FRB. If you don't know who Eddie FRB is, he's an amazing content creator. His most known series is the Animation versus Anything, and he's been putting the most time and effort into that. And it's been an awesome journey being able to go through and watch him evolve through, going from the side of things with only like 2,000 subscribers to being one of the top heads in the FRB community. So this is Eddie, if you'd like to say hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eddie, Eddie FRB. I do, like Josiah said, Animation versus Anything. If you're watching Josiah's channel, you've probably seen some of his reactions to my content, or maybe you're already a fan of me. That's all. I assume you would know who I am if you clicked on this. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I really like. I'm a big fan of what Josiah does. I think he does a lot for the community. Obviously, very gracious towards me and my work, and I'm very pleased to be able to hop on and have a conversation with him and answer some of you guys' questions too.
Yes, that's the best part. I grabbed a whole bunch of questions from you guys from the community post, but what we were talking about just where we started is the growth, like seeing it and like living through it, because I remember reacting to it was Shaggy versus Crazy Dave. Before that one, a lot of people wanted me to watch Salad Fingers versus Marionette. And I don't know who asked this question, but I'm gonna start with this, and I'm sorry. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. But I remember it was okay, here it is. It's Cherry Seeds. Which of your Cherry Seeds 2118? Which of your season 1 rap battles do you think holds up the best, excluding Salad Fingers versus Marionette for obvious reasons?
Yeah, well, I mean, generally the only one I think really holds up is Salad Fingers. And even then, like, I did the remake of it at the end of 2023 because I thought the project itself was a lot stronger than the package it was released in, and I'm still really proud of that remaster. Yeah. But aside from that, for Chapter 1, I mean, for most of it, like, it was in 2020, and in 2020, like, I was really inspired by what Dustin Freshy Canal was doing. Him and I are still good friends. We work together. But he was, for anyone who was watching battles around that time, he like cracked the whole case open in 2020, and he really figured out a formula that changed how everyone did everything. And so in 2020, when I made my return to battles, because I didn't really do a whole lot in 2019, 2018. Yeah. I decided to kind of, I don't want to say copy, but I took a lot of notes from Dustin. And so the point I'm trying to make is most of Chapter 1 is very derivative of Dustin's style from that time. And there isn't a whole lot of identity to the series that I feel like it has now. So it's hard for me to look back on most of them favorably because I just kind of see myself trying to be something that I wasn't. That being said, to answer the question, I think I would honestly probably say Mr. Peanut Butter versus Isabel. There was a project I made. It was in the middle of 2020 because I started writing it when COVID hit and the Animal Crossing game came out and everyone was playing Animal Crossing.
Oh, that makes sense.
I've always been a big Animal Crossing fan. Also, it's the first and only time so far I've used a BoJack Horseman character, but that's one of my favorite shows too.
Nice.
And there are parts of it that don't hold up. But in terms of characterization and wordplay and writing and flow, I think it's probably one of my best showings from that era. I remember being really, really proud of it when it first came out. And it was also the first time I worked with Byron BMB.
Oh, nice.
So he did the Isabel art in it, and I hope that people watching this would know Byron is an artist and animator who I've worked with several times over the years. He's one of my mainstays. He did Shaggy versus Crazy Dave, Toothless versus Pikachu. He did Captain Underpants, and he did Dogman in the new one, and he did Flying Dutchman versus K. Rool.
Yeah.
So that was the first time that we worked together. So that meant a lot to me.
That's
And
awesome.
I don't know. I just think it's not trying as hard as the others to be cool and technical. Like Jack versus Sands, for example, a lot of people tell me they really like that one, but
Yeah.
I was trying so hard to make something really like cool and technically impressive that I feel like I just kind of lost the plot and I was punching above my pay grade. But I think Mr. Peanut Butter versus Isabel is one of the easier watches just because it's more fun and self-contained, and I still think I could do it better. Like I might remake that one down the line sometime too, but that's probably my answer.
Nice. No, that's a great answer. And it's so cool to hear you talk about something. I've never even seen that one, dude. So now I need to go back and watch that because I didn't realize BMB was working with you all the way back then. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, so we had been in contact since early 2020, but
Nice.
that was the first one that was the first video that came out that we worked together on.
Nice.
Actually, It was the first. Yeah, it was the first. There were a couple other ones that were uploaded before it, like the Detective Pikachu battle.
Oh.
Those were done after the Isabel drawings. The Isabel,
gotcha.
The editing and animation just took a little bit longer to put out, so that's why it was uploaded later. But that was technically our first collaboration.
Yeah. I heard you say something about like serious versus kind of like silly, which that is interesting to me. Like thinking about battles and how they go about that, because some battles focus a lot more on the humor. Like I just did Danny's 3 for my series, and he's awesome. His are just like, it's not like they're not lyrically good. It's just everybody has their focus on something, and his focus is definitely on the humor aspect. And there's definitely battles that you do that are more humor, but then it's crazy because it's like a whole package. Like I'm thinking of even like the humor ones and how detailed they are. So I don't know whose question this is. I think it's one of my first ones. Yeah, and I think I'll go with this. This is from El Roboto. And the homie says 2 things, and these are 2 things that I admire about you too. 2 things I admire about Eddie are his attention to detail and the commitment of his work. Everything seems to be so polished and made with so much love. I'll ask him what's his motivation behind that, or how he's able to maintain the momentum/energy in a world that most of the times doesn't encourage you to be unique and put passions to work. So that's perfect kind of with what you were saying, how you had to find your own identity of battles. And that's why I've been so drawn to your channel and why it's my favorite, because it's such a unique feel. You can feel the depth of research, of lyricism, of like the animation work. Like you can tell there are months and months of production values put into all of these very, tightly knit packages. So how do you, through everybody else, like you say, there's so many rap battle creators now, and you take inspiration from different people. What's kind of your thought process in, making stuff and in those polishing stages? Like what keeps you motivated to say, no, I need to push this back a few more weeks. This needs to be better. I know that's kind of like a full question.
No, it's a good, that was one of the ones that because Josiah provided me with some of the questions so I could think of answers for the people watching. But that one's kind of tricky because like, it's hard to boil down your motivation for what like why you do what you love doing in like a couple sentences, right? Like there's so many reasons. But the answer that I always give when I'm asked this question is, when I was 12 years old, younger than 12 even, I watched like ERB and other fan-made rap battle creators at the time who were doing, by today's standards, stuff that, like ERB obviously classic, but a lot of the fan-made content that I was really invested in, by today's standards, most people wouldn't think it's very good. But there was a kind of magic to it to me that just some guy in his room, some kid even, can just make that happen. And it just made me feel like it inspired me so deeply. And when I started making stuff, obviously, like I did it with my internal microphone. I was 12 years old when I made my first rap battle.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I'm 22 now, so it was 10 years ago. But, when I started, I was just kind of doing it for fun, and I still do it for fun. But now that I have more of an audience and I can actually like I have the experience and resources needed to actually bring something exciting and impressive to life. I always make stuff with the mindset that if I was not me and I was someone else who was watching the videos, I would want to make something that I would love. Like I would fall in love with instantly and love every little bit of it. So honestly, the videos are pretty self-indulgent because I just kind of make stuff that I want people like me, like maybe kids or teenagers or even adults who are interested in it the same way I was back then, to see it and for it to click with them, because it's not going to click with everybody.
Right.
But I do it because I want to inspire people and have even give people a little piece of that magic that I had back in the day when I started doing it, and still have with certain things like Deltarune music. Like there are things in life that just like I love I love series, I love content and pieces of art, and they make me feel such like excitement and wonder. And I just my main motivation and the reason why I do all that and I work so hard on it and I try and make it as good as possible is because I just want to be that person for someone else. I think that's one of the best ways you can contribute to, at least one of the best ways I can contribute to society, as a person with what I'm doing. And I get so many comments from people and like new people who join community spaces or just comment on my battles, talking about like how I inspired them to start making projects. And like it's just so crazy for me to hear that, because like that was how I was talking about these guys back like 10 years ago,
Right.
you know, and now
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But I feel like in my head I'm still the starry-eyed fan, because like I'm still such a huge fanboy of so many things that
Right.
it's just changed now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a messy answer to a messy question, but in short, like I do it because one, I love doing it, it's my favorite thing to do, and two, I just want to make stuff that people like me can feel heard and represented and fall in love with it and have that kind of magic that I used to get with projects that I was inspired by.
Yeah.
And still am.
And it speaks volumes because it was a great answer, even if it was messy. And what was so cool listening to that is like, it's so true. Like I have a similar feeling of like being that starry-eyed person, and then people ask, you know, oh, you're this big YouTuber. I'm like, I'm not at all. And like, I'm just a fan like all of you. And it's cool because seeing something like Eric Cartman versus Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown is such an old character. Like, so you know there had to have been many adults or teenagers or people that grew into adults that looked at that battle and like remembered that from their childhood and felt something from that, you know? Like you were able to invoke emotions through something people think is simple, but when you really peel back the onion and the layers of what really went into it, it's not. So no, that was really good. And that's a really good motivation. I think people's motivation behind things, you don't even have to say it. You can feel it through your work when you watch something of yours in comparison to, I don't know, like there's no another channel I'm thinking of in particularly, but like someone who's doing it just for like the money, or who is not passionate, or just chasing a trend, or just threw something together real quick. You know what I mean? It's a different feel. So it's definitely, I'm definitely one of those people that look up to you, homie, because it's really cool to see everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I just like, I feel like I'm just so blessed to be in the position I am with the audience I have and the resources I have, that like it's not that I'm obligated to make good content, but like it kind of feels like it's what I was made to do, what I'm meant to do right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Some higher power, whatever you believe in, just put me here to do this.
Eddie's
right
making
now.
battles.
Forever,
Right.
Yeah, like I don't know. I like to think that it inspires people and it brings people joy. And like you said, it's simple and it's silly, but it was my whole world when I was 12, and kind of still is, like in a different way though.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like that it matters, and I mean in today's age of like, I'm not trying to like talk down on anyone's content or, you know, the state of YouTube or whatever, but with like generative AI and threats to creativity and work, and YouTube continually screwing over animators and promoting like commentary content, like just a whole bunch of stuff that that is not the kind of stuff I do.
Right.
And that's what gets you far on YouTube.
Yeah.
I just like feeling like I'm a part of something that refuses to die in the creative landscape. That I don't know. People comment like, "Oh, you're one of the best. You're one of my favorite channels. You're one of the best channels on YouTube." And like, I like that I can give people hope. Like every so often, I'll find a video because I watch YouTube all the time, and there'll just be something so creative and so they put so much work into. And I usually like to leave a comment. If anyone ever sees me commenting on random videos, I make it an effort to comment on stuff that makes me feel a certain way, because people really appreciate it when you leave nice, thoughtful comments on their stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just like I like thinking that the work I do it can be like a positive like force for people, and it can inspire people to start doing something creative, or even just get them through a tough time, or even just passively like they watch it a couple times and smile. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know,
those simple little interactions.
It makes people happy.
Yeah,
it makes people happy, and that's really powerful, I think.
It is powerful, and describing how you've become that figurehead, for other people. It's crazy because you think about it and think when ERB first came out, and it's like no one realized the effect that was going to have on this culture, and creating this whole community from, they didn't even intend it, impact versus intent. Like their intent, I'm sure, was just to put out funny videos and, have this goofy thing happen. And then it turned into all of this. And what's so beautiful about that is now there's going to be 12-year-olds that are watching your content and do exactly what happened with the OG ERB. And they're going to be in their room on their phone and record these battles. And then they're slowly going to get better. And then they're going to take inspiration from people like you and Dustin and other big heads. And it's like, it keeps going. And that's what's so crazy and so cool. Because it's like a never-ending pool of creativity, because you can put a matchup, against who and do it in completely different ways, and like there's always going to be new characters and stuff. I could always talk about the community and how awesome it is, but it is really cool because it is like this creativity that refuses to die. And it's like, it's also, you have the job of taking of representing that character well. And I think that gets into the next question. But you do a very good job at you've seen a battle where you're like, they wouldn't say that, or like, wait, but they don't cuss, or they don't, do this or whatever. But then you see, battles like, dude, Grunkle Stan versus Saul Goodman. After watching both shows back to back, and then watching how that was crafted in the layers of writing with that one, dude. That last part still gets me to this day. It's crazy. it's so nuts. But and getting into the writing, Alex Romero, which Alex has been a homie around the channel forever. So I think Alex has been watching literally since back 2000 subs. I could be wrong, but I've seen his name. Shout out to Alex. But Alex says, I love Eddie's writing and references. They're so well done that I want to know how he approaches research. Does he always watch the shows or cartoons the characters he writes about are from? I guess I want to know his overall thought process on research.
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. Every time I make a project with a show, I watch the show back, even if it's a show I've watched a million times before. Like when I made Stan vs. Saul. Gravity Falls is one of my favorite shows ever. I watched it as it was airing when I was a little kid.
That's awesome. That's dope.
It was one of the first shows that I got really into, online and the fan community and stuff. And I watch it every summer. It's kind of like a tradition for me.
That's awesome.
It's so good, bro. You've seen it,
It is. Yeah, I saw it because of your battle, by the way. You pushed me to watch it, and I was like, I cannot believe I hadn't seen this yet. So it's really good.
If anyone watching this hasn't seen Gravity Falls yet, you should check it out.
100%.
You won't regret it. But my point was, what I was trying to say is, when I was making that project, even though I have what happens in Gravity Falls etched to the back of my mind, I still rewatched it before I wrote the project, because it made everything kind of fresh in my mind. and I remember little details of the characters and their backstories and like references and lines that they say that you wouldn't remember if you just went off of your memory.
Yeah.
And so for shows like that I've already seen, I do rewatch them. But for series that I haven't seen, I actually, most of the stuff I watch is new stuff that I'm watching for battles that I hadn't seen before.
Nice.
Like, for example, with the same battle, I hadn't seen Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul until I started working on that project.
That's crazy, really.
So I watched those because I just couldn't imagine doing a character like Saul. Like, I knew, obviously, Breaking Bad is like, there's like the meme, so I knew like generally what the gist of it was.
Right.
But it's really important to me to represent the characters in a way that the fans of the media feel heard.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I watch everything. Like, for, let's see, I'm just looking through for examples. Like, for Cartman versus Charlie, like, I watched pretty much all of South Park again.
That's a lot. That's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't watch everything, but I watched like pretty much everything that you would need to see for Cartman.
Yeah.
And I had already seen it before. I'm a big South Park fan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I just, in terms of how I tackle research, like, I wish I had a really clever answer for you that would make it exciting, because I know a lot of people kind of dread that part. But,
yeah.
You know, I just kind of watch it. If it's a game, I'll play it. If it's like a book or something, I'll read it. For Mr. Wolf and Dogman, actually, the one that just came out, I have like a whole Dogman box set that I bought at the bookstore on my shelf right now. And I read it, and I had it open while I was writing, and I took pictures and sent it to like the animators and editors for the storyboard. And obviously, I edited half of it too, so. It's important to me to actually experience it instead of just like going on the wiki pages or whatever and looking at the information, which is what I used to do back in the day, like 2017. That's kind of what everyone did. We called it wiki writing. But yeah, no, I mean, I feel like a big part of my strength as a writer is portraying characters and worlds in a way that feels maybe not 100% accurate, but at least faithful and respectful to the original vision.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do that unless you have the actual source material fresh in your mind.
Agreed.
So yeah, every time I'll watch the show. If it's a really long show or like a really like, then I might only watch like a handful of it. Mm-hmm. But like, for example, this is one of the reasons why I haven't used characters like Goku or Luffy from One Piece, is I haven't seen those shows. And it's not that I'm never going to. Adventure Time is another good example. This is my confession that I've never seen Adventure Time.
Okay, I'm going to come out and say the same thing. I'm so glad you said that, because I'm in the same boat.
I really want to. I know it's good. I know I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
Steven Universe was my favorite show growing up. I never saw Adventure Time. I don't know why.
Mine was regular show. That was mine.
Yeah, that one's good too. Yeah, that one's great.
Oh, wait. Okay. Anyways, sorry to hold on. I gotta ask. Are you ever gonna do regular show?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have a character in mind, or is that too far?
I mean, it's Mordecai and Rigby.
Oh, okay. You're gonna use them both. Oh,
yeah,
dude,
like a duo.
That's so hype. Is that your first duo battle? No.
No, it's not. But it'll be my first in a while. Ooh. Also, I like. I can't tell you when it's happening. I can just tell you that it's in the plan.
That's hype. That's hype. I didn't mean to stop the thought process, but I had to get that in. That's hype. That's hype. That is a bombshell, dude. That's literally like, I've been waiting for someone to use that. Because I feel like it was so popular when we were kids, and when everybody first started writing battles, like when they were younger, I feel like a lot of people used Mordecai and Rigby. I don't remember them being used like recently. Do you?
I can't think of the last time Mordecai and Rigby were used in a battle. I think the last regular show battle I remember is Muscle Man versus Brody.
Oh, true.
Yes. Which would have been 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
That's crazy.
There's probably another one, but I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of every battle that comes out
I'm
anymore,
thinking
so.
Benson versus Squidward, but yeah, that was like a long time ago too.
Yeah, no, that was longer ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
CMRV.
crazy. Okay, sorry. Do you remember what you were saying?
No.
Okay, I didn't think you were because I didn't either.
No,
So.
I do. I do.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Perfect.
We were talking about watching shows all the way through.
Yes.
I haven't used One Piece. I haven't used Adventure Time because I don't want to do those characters unless I've experienced the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm never going to watch Dragon Ball or One Piece or Adventure Time because I will. But if I do a battle with one of those characters, part of the workload becomes watching that entire series.
Yep.
And that's something that I factor in when I choose my matchups, and it just hasn't been a priority yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, the answer to the question is yeah. I watch stuff back. I play stuff. If it's a movie, I'll rewatch the movie. Sometimes several times when I'm writing, just because I really believe in immersing yourself in the world being a very important part of capturing the characters.
Yeah, I agree. And it's definitely, you could definitely see it, and it's much appreciated. Because, like, even as someone, obviously, I'm on the other end of things. I just watch them and appreciate them as much as I can. But I remember when I was first starting to react to stuff and how I was scared. I don't really talk about this, but I was okay, so from the other end of things, obviously, creating versus reacting. Like, you see the reactors and you see all the big people reacting to stuff. And you see them breaking down all these bars, and you're like, I don't know anything about this. How am I supposed to do this? And I was like, well, if I just research, and there has been so many situations, even to this day, like epic rap battles. I remember the other day I heard a bar that from, I think it was Michael Jackson versus Elvis Presley, which is one of the most iconic ones that I never got until this day. And I'm like, holy crap. But it's because I didn't know anything about the characters. So now that I like go through and actually like watch the stuff and like research it, it's like a new experience. It's really crazy. Like you could watch it like okay, we talked about it, like Grunkle Stan versus Saul Goodman. If you have never seen Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul and watch that battle, you're gonna think Stan swept. And I get it. Like, he's very charismatic and he's got all this stuff. But if you watch both, you're going to be like, okay, this is a lot more even. And, like, it's just crazy, man. I could talk about this for hours. Mm-hmm. You got me going. Okay. So, my next question is from Diego Fox. And it's kind of like this. So, it sounds like for a lot of the cases, watching the shows and stuff, that could, like, by default, take up the longest, process-wise for making battles. But if you had to say without that, so Diego Fox says, my question goes something like this. What is the longest part of the process when it comes to making a rap battle for you? So like writing, beat producing, stuff like that. So taking out, I guess, the research, what do you think takes the most time?
Yeah, so there are two different ways you can look at the question. I would say the answer is writing, but it isn't actually time spent. Actually, like, it isn't the time that you spend sitting down with the Google Doc open trying to come up with lines.
Yeah.
It's I kind of think about it as like whatever I'm just doing, like going about my day, I'll have ideas for lines and then I'll write them down. I have a notes app, a massive.
That was my next question. Do you have a notes app? Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's like the compendium of all sorts of. I have like dozens of matchups and line ideas I just come up with randomly through the day.
So dope.
And usually, the process goes that I'll decide on doing a matchup, and then I'll give it a couple months to just have it kind of sit in the back of my mind and accumulate natural ideas instead of trying to sit down and force it. Yeah. Because I find a lot of my best ideas come from when I'm not trying to come up with ideas, when your brain's kind of idling.
Yeah.
Like people will say they come up with their best ideas in the shower, or for me, it was at work. I came up with a lot of my best ideas.
Yeah.
But I give it time to kind of collect a bunch of just general line ideas that I'm happy with. And then once I've kind of reached a point where I have a solid enough foundation, that's when I actually start punching everything in and doing the research and actually trying to write the lines and finish the script. Because my process is that I don't write I think some people think that when you write a battle, you do it line by line. So you start with the first characters first and you go on to the next one. I don't do that. I come up with the lines and the jokes independent of each other, and then I fit them into a draft afterwards. And then once I have enough of the pieces, I just kind of fill in the blanks with what I think fits.
Yeah.
So the longest time, or the longest part of the process in terms of the time it takes from beginning to end is probably writing.
Yeah.
But the other answer to that, and the less exciting answer, is animating, because animating takes a really long time. And
Yeah.
I'm super blessed with, I have animators and artists who work super fast. They do super good work. They're super loyal. Like, I'm ridiculously lucky on that front. But you can't reasonably expect a full project to be animated in any less than like 2 months minimum. Usually it's longer.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons Mr. Wolf was cooking for so long is because it just takes a long time to do that. Like, you saw the Mr. Wolf animation. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah,
but
very clean.
It takes a long time, and that's not the only thing. Like, the animators have a life too, right? Like,
right. That's what people don't get sometimes.
I'm paying them to do the gig, but it's not like they're just sitting at their PC 24 hours a day animating.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, so animating will usually take around 3 months, which means that when you see a project, it's been in the works for probably around a year, is what I would estimate for most projects. Sometimes a lot longer. Mr. Wolf Dogman started production around a year ago, and the actual animation and editing took around 4 months. So that's probably the longest part in terms of the amount of hours you actively put in. But with my process of writing, which honestly I'm trying to change a little bit and be a little more proactive with it.
That makes sense.
Instead of waiting for inspiration to strike.
Yeah.
That's probably the longest for some of them. Like, I'll just have an idea and then I'll just sit on it for like 6 months and gather a bunch of ideas. But yeah, whichever of those you find a more compelling answer to the question.
I think they're both pretty interesting. It's something. It's always really awesome to hear the behind the scenes of that, because like I always say, and I try and point out, like, people think this stuff just can happen, and people can just say, oh, I want it like this, and then it's just animated within like a couple hours. Like, this stuff takes long, man, and it's really cool to hear the actual, nitty gritty of it. That's pretty dope.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to creative process, what part do you... Okay, we kind of... Well, actually, we didn't really touch on this. So this is from, I'm terrible with names, Oristed FCG. And the first question, I'll ask them probably together. So the first one is, which step of the creative process, like, do you enjoy the most? Because obviously you're not yourself animating, but you're going through with the animator, storyboarding, that type of thing. So yeah, I guess that alone, we'll ask that first. What process is your favorite?
That's right. It's definitely writing.
Okay.
I think the strongest part of animation versus anything is the writing. You'll see a lot of rap battle channels, like, for example, Dustin Freshy Canal. This is absolutely in no way a shot. Please don't take it as a shot. But you'll go in the credits and you'll see a whole team of writers, a whole team of everything.
True.
I take a lot of pride in writing everything myself.
True.
It's not like, because, like, for example, the Puss in Boots one, I had Keyblade write some of the lyrics. Dutchman versus K-Rool, that was almost entirely guest written by Peso and Lime King.
Yeah.
It's not that I insist on writing everything myself as a pride thing. It's just the most fun part of it for me, because there's that, I feel like the lyrics are where the project lives and dies.
Yes.
And it's both the actual content of the lines and the disses.
Yeah.
And also the way it flows as music and songwriting. And that's a really underrated aspect to making battles that I put a lot of stock into. Is, I study music and I try and make my battles musically appealing and like very like well written and catchy as songs on top of as rap battles.
Yes.
And so that's definitely my favorite part, because it feels like it's the gift that keeps on giving. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. I have a lot of fun doing it. Whenever you come up with a certain line or a flip or a double entendre, it makes you feel really smart.
Yeah.
I have kind of a weird thing where I take a lot of pleasure in like sitting there for hours and mulling over like wording of lines and trying to make all the pieces fit just right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really don't like that part. They wish they could just come up with the exact phrasing and then be done with it. But I spend a lot of time agonizing on the phrasing and the word choice and the exact flow and all of the little details, because I think it really matters in the end product. Maybe not consciously, but I think one of the reasons why people gravitate towards my projects is because the way I write them, there's just a little bit of extra sauce to it and a little bit of that polish to the songwriting that people might not be able to realize, but they appreciate over time with repeated listens.
Yes.
Like, I've found that a lot of people say that, you know, they like my projects when they first hear them, but it takes them a while to fully appreciate and for it to grow on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me happy, because that's one of the things I factor in when I'm writing is I want these to be projects that could live forever, that people could watch years down the line, and over again. And so in terms of the writing process, like, that's something you have to consider. And the cool thing is, there's like an infinite skill ceiling, because there's so many things I could be so much better at. Like, I think compared to the writers I aspire to, I'm like not even close to where I want to be. But I also feel like I'm so proud of where I've come.
Yeah.
And I know there's so much further to go that I'm just super inspired all the time to keep improving my writing and learning more and just writing more. It's really fun. It's very difficult. But super rewarding for me. So definitely writing. And then also, like you said, I don't do every aspect myself. Like, I'll hire artists or animators. But I credit myself as a director of every project.
Yes.
And what that essentially means is I'm telling you what you need to do, and I'm peering over your shoulder and watching you while you're doing it and saying, can you change that? Can you change this?
Yeah.
Like, when I have a guest editor or an animator, I've always got notes like, I want this change this way, this change that way. And I think it's very easy for people to maybe not acknowledge the importance of that or like respect it, because it's not really exactly a glamorous position to be the guy telling the artist how to do their job.
Yeah.
But I think that the best projects come from a director who has a vision, who can direct people in very specific ways that they might not see to realize a project a certain way. And while I'm not the best at that, I think I'm pretty good at it. And a lot of the reason why some of my projects turn out the way they do is because I have such a specific vision and I'm so involved in every part of the process, instead of just, you know, being like, okay, record this, send it off to a voice actor, they do their first take, and then I use that. I have a really complicated recording retake process where I write like line by line explanations of how I want them to deliver lines. Like, I do it for each retake they do. It takes me a long time, but I take a lot of pride in that too, and I think that's very fun. Also very challenging, because that also means that if any part of the project doesn't turn out very well, it's your fault. I feel that way anyways. Like, whenever something in animation versus anything turns out a way that I'm not super happy with, I'm the director, it's my series, it's my responsibility.
Right.
But it's rewarding in the same way, because when something turns out really well and really works out the way you wanted it to, you really feel like the work you put into it was worth it, and you feel really accomplished.
Right.
So that's writing and directing, two things that I credit myself on at the start of all the credits. And that's just because they're my favorite parts and the most involved parts of the process, in my opinion. And I love doing them.
I love that your highlight on like how much you love directing, because it's very intriguing to me, because so you've seen Breaking Bad, you said, right? So I don't know if you see it, and it goes around on YouTube all the time, but it's like the Spanish, I think it's like a Spanish like rip-off version of Breaking Bad. Have you seen that?
I haven't like watched. I've seen clips.
Well, yeah, like clips of it. Yeah. So
I've seen it.
That display, they do the scene. Spoilers for Breaking Bad. Spoilers for Breaking Bad. Spoilers for Breaking Bad. They do the scene with Gus, and the box cutter, right? And they show them like side by side, and how with the same script with very similar lighting and all that stuff, it's how they shot it and the direction of it that changes everything. And it's like how you frame a camera, and how you set how they're standing, or the shot, or whatever it is. All those little things are exactly why Breaking Bad is like my favorite show of all time, because of the cinematography, because of the directing, all of that stuff. And it's so similar with animation versus anything. I'm so glad that you take pride in that and recognize that yourself, like how big of a task that is. And for other people to know that, you know, because it really, it does, like, similar to how you say, you know, writing makes or break a project, I'll go on and say I really believe that in tandem with that the directing does too. Because if you have a video that's very stagnant, there's not a lot of motion. Like, I've you know, because I go back and watch these. I don't, for everybody out there, I don't just watch these once for video. Like, it's fun for me because as soon as I react to it, it's like unlocking it for the videos I get to go back and look at. So once I have the videos unlocked, I'll go through and look at them and just see, like, how your eye flow, your eye is being directed, how things blur and fade out when they want you to look at them, you know? All of those little touches, it's very cool. So I'm glad that you recognize how awesome the work you're doing is there, because that's pretty dope, dude.
Well, yeah, and I want to just make it clear, like, I really struggle with talking about my projects and my own abilities in a way that's, like, measured and doesn't come off as, like, egotistical, because when I was younger, I was definitely a bit of an egotist.
That's fair.
And now it's just kind of like, now that I'm older and an adult, it's like, man, I really don't know anything.
Right, you start to realize, yeah.
And I just, like, why don't, like, in 2020, I thought these were the best projects ever. I can't even watch most of them now. I didn't know what I was talking about. And I have the awareness now to realize that the stuff I'm making now, I'm probably going to feel the same way about in another 5 years.
Yeah.
Because as much as I'm proud of my writing and my directing and all of that stuff, there's so much more to it. There's so much better I could be doing. And the stuff I'm working on, like, I always feel like I'm kind of like a year or two behind my current skill level with the stuff I'm working on because of how long it takes to make.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I'm working on is just so far beyond anything that's out right now that it makes it hard for me to talk about, because there's a divide between what I know I'm capable of and what is out there.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't want people to take away from this that, oh, I think I'm the best writer and director and all my stuff's perfect. Because I'm not perfect. I make mistakes every time. A whole bunch of stuff slips through the cracks. It's really difficult. And there's so many ways I can improve. And I'm really excited to keep improving. And I know how I'm going to do it. And I never want to stop learning. Once I stop learning and I feel like I've hit a ceiling, that's when I get bored. And that's probably when I'll do something else.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm proud of it. I think it's healthy to, you know, be proud of how far you've come and acknowledge the wins, you know?
Yeah.
But also I'm a person who is always looking for the next thing and the next level up. And I can assure you that I'm not complacent with where I'm at with writing or directing or basically any part of the process. There's so many more ideas I want to incorporate, so many little micro improvements I want to implement. And I'm just excited for people to see them. And I hope that they can see it because it's one of my favorite parts of the process is just improving and learning and leveling up little by little like that over time.
That's huge. And that'll take you far, man. Like, not even with this, like on real talk, like in life, you know, because people get complacent and then they stay in the same spot and they don't improve. They don't look within themselves. And someone that can look at themselves, not only, you know, their projects, but themselves, you know, and critique, what do I need to change? But also have, you know, the intelligence to be able to say, okay, well, I know I'm doing this well and I can take this W, you know what I mean? And I can talk about it. Because that, I feel like society today loves to make people feel bad for stuff like that, which is crazy. Like, if you do something good, you own it. You know what I mean? You don't go and shove it down everybody's throats and be like, oh, I did this amazing thing. I'm so much better. But if you can have pride in your own work and things that you've taken months and years in some cases, you know, to accomplish. So that's, I'm glad that you have that because it's definitely a good character trait.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure. And going from all the deep stuff, I want to ask a silly one. This is from Irish Guy, and I actually don't know the answer to this, so I'm excited to hear. And it's very simple. Why did you choose a beaver as your profile pic? And then they put, I do think it suits your channel, in quotations.
Oh, man. The reason why is because my character before that, for people who remember, which I imagine is most people because the beaver was introduced at the start of this year as we're recording this 2025. but there's like a plaid checkered shirt. It was the design that I had for my character.
Yeah.
And the reason I had that is because there's a character from a Friday Night Funkin' mod called Sunday by
I'm looking it
a
up.
creator called BB Panzu, and that for whatever reason I just really gravitated towards that design.
Oh yeah,
like,
I see.
I want to do something like this. So the cool thing actually is a creator that BB Panzu, him and I are working on some stuff coming up that I'm super excited about.
Ooh,
that
dope.
was one of the guys who I like worshipped like back like not in a weird way. I really looked up to what he did and I thought what he did was really cool. But that's what the character was designed based on. So when I decided I wanted to have an original character, I wanted to take an element of that design of like the human character and put it into the original character.
Yeah.
And I decided to take the checkered shirt just because I feel like that's probably the most iconic part of that original design, aside from like I guess the floofy hair, which is also kind of part of the new design.
Yeah.
But it's kind of an ongoing marketing thing for me where my problem is that human character doesn't look like me and he was never supposed to. It was just kind of like a guy that you're supposed to think of when you thought of my channel, but he's just like a nameless guy who had like a mean look on his face that, you know, wasn't really very marketable.
Yeah.
And with animation versus anything, there's so much support for the series and I love that so much, and I'm so grateful and I'm gonna keep doing it. But I'm using copyrighted characters and worlds, and I can't sell like merch of Puss in Boots or SpongeBob. You know, like I don't own the rights to that. Yeah. So it was important to me to create my own character for my own brand that I owned. That was like a me thing.
Smart man.
And the two-part answer to why it's a beaver is one. The reason why it's an animal at all is because it's based on the Kanye bear from the first 3 Kanye albums, specifically Graduation.
Yes.
I wanted a mascot like that was cool, cute at the same time, both kind of cool and cute, based on an animal, but not like super animalistic.
Yeah.
Like it's not on all fours or anything, kind of humanoid too.
Mm-hmm.
I also took a lot of inspiration from Animal Crossing, one of my favorite game series, for the design of my character, FR. Yes. His name is FRB. Because the gag is like, I'm Eddie, and he's FRB, and that's Eddie FRB.
Oh, dude, I get it. That's awesome.
I wonder how many people didn't put that together, but yeah, he's FRB.
Wow. Okay, I like that a lot.
I went with, so that's why I picked an animal and why I rebranded to like an animal character and why I wanted to have an original character for my brand. But the reason why it's a beaver is basically just because when I was brainstorming what animal it would be, like some of the other options we had where I was thinking about a lynx, I was thinking about like an otter, and I chose a beaver because something that's commonly associated with the red checkered plaid thing is lumberjacks, and lumberjacks cut down trees, and beavers also, you know, they chew up trees with their teeth and they make dams and stuff, and beavers are also associated with Canada heavily. And one of the other things that people knew about me was that I'm Canadian. And I felt like making that a part of my brand and tying it into the red plaid with the lumberjack, and then picking a Canadian animal and kind of making the whole brand kind of like an Arctic winter type thing, like a Canadian North winter type thing.
Yeah,
was the direction I wanted to go with my branding. So that's why I picked a beaver. I got a whole bunch of designs drawn up. There are a bunch of scrap designs for the character that I haven't shown anyone, but we did the beaver, and then when I saw it, I was like, that's the guy. So that's why I picked a beaver. You know, it's branding. I wanted to have my own character, and for the parts of the design I wanted to keep and emphasize, I thought a beaver worked the best. Also, notably about a beaver, there aren't too many other super famous beaver mascots. There are some of them, like Bucky Beaver, but as far as animals go, a beaver is pretty good on the scale of everyone knows what a beaver is and what they look like and what their thing is. Yeah. But you're not going to immediately like be like, oh, that's just a ripoff of this character, you know? which was important to me. Because if I just like I said, I was inspired by the Kanye bear. If I just made my guy a bear, like it would just be like it's the same guy. So I wanted it to be a different animal.
I love how layered that is, though, dude. That's so cool. Because people just look at it, it's like, oh, it's just him as a beaver. But there's a lot to that. That's so cool. And the FRB thing, dude, what?
Yeah. People thought it's like a fursona, and I'm a furry, and like I'm coming out, and like that's the angle, which I anticipated, and like I'm not bothered by that.
That's funny.
But just to clarify for anyone watching this who doesn't understand, this is like a Mickey Mouse situation, and this character is not me. Okay, this is a character that represents my channel. But
so
if it makes you happy to see it as like a furry, like that's. Hey, do what you gotta do.
Right. It's like, hey, that's what you want.
That's not the intention. I'm not a furry. I'm not making being a furry part of my branding. I just wanted a cute animal mascot. Okay.
So
I didn't know what I was getting into.
Right, you did it to yourself, man.
Yeah, I did it to myself.
That's so good. No,
I'm
love
really
that.
happy with the rebrand. When I first announced it, a lot of people weren't huge on it, which I totally respected and understood.
Yeah.
I think over time, people are starting to grow more fond of him. One of the reasons why I did that new intro bumper is just I wanted the character to be more associated with the video. And I'm a big fan of him. And it also opens the possibility that maybe I could do something original, not rap battle related in the future with the character and maybe an original world, which I may or may not have some plans for.
That would be so cool.
How that goes.
I love that, dude. That's so dope. Thank you for sharing. That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to do another silly one because I like the silly ones. And it literally starts with just a fun little silly one. Who do you think won in Mr. Wolf versus Dogman? Now you're going to get everybody's feathers ruffled.
Yeah. Man, this is kind of going a little off topic, but I never realized just how ravenous they were about who won the battle.
Yeah, this one was hard.
Yeah, maybe this is like a self-report, but I don't really think about who wins that much when I'm writing it.
Yeah.
I try and give the characters everything in their power, and then if one character ends up winning, like that's them. That's not me.
Right,
like, I know I wrote it, but I do think Mr. Wolf and Dogman is probably one of the most even ones I've done so far.
Yeah.
But I usually try and give both characters their own angle that someone can gravitate towards instead of like making one of them win and one of them lose. Some people think I purposely make a character win because I like them more. That's baloney. Most of the time the character I like more loses because I know more about them and so I'm better at
right, the
them.
disses are exactly. Yeah.
But in terms of who won Mr. Wolf and Dogman, I like the Mr. Wolf verses more. I think Mr. Wolf's first verse is
all right,
one of the
Eddie,
best verses I've
listen,
ever written.
we're supposed to be friends, and you said the wrong answer. All right.
I'm sorry, bro. It's close. It could go either way.
No, I hear you, though.
Dogman had 8 less lines because he had Sarah Hadoff do part of his
True.
thing.
Okay.
The full part.
I'm going to use that. Yep. You heard it. He was at a disadvantage, and he didn't even say silent as his last word. So not only did he lost those 8 lines, he lost the last word too. All right. Yeah.
Here's the brand safe answer. On the poll I made on my community tab, Mr. Wolf won.
True. You know what? And I respect it. Go ahead. Yeah.
68% of you are going to be very happy to hear that.
Yeah, stand by the fans. I see.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I was part of the 32, so.
I'm sorry, bro.
That's so awesome. That's great. No, and I want to go back and read them. First of all, I didn't even know Dogman's story was that intense. Bro, he died. That officer is dead. There is the dog just took over his body. That's low-key terrifying because
Dogman is messed. Like, and it's really, when you get more into the books, like, because I grew up with Captain Underpants.
Yeah, same.
Dogman was after my generation. Like, my younger brother reads them and really likes them. I didn't know anything about it until the movie came out. Well, until the movie was coming out and I decided to start working on the project.
Yeah.
And when I was reading the books, it's like, there's an overarching story arc, like, throughout the books. Like, there's continuity. I was like, what did I get myself into?
It's actually crazy.
It's insane, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun to work with because I thought I'd have a lot less to work with, but yeah, no, there's a lot of messed up stuff in Dogman. It's pretty dark.
Dude, and I didn't even notice this too, but I was watching the battle back and I saw the his last bar when he's like, or last few lines he's popping off. Dude, his head literally came off and you saw the stitches. That was crazy. I did not catch. I remember when I was reacting to it for the video, I remember seeing red, and for some reason I was like, okay, it was just like a collar or something. Like it was just subconsciously, thrown. And then I went back and I was like, oh my gosh. And I really thought about the character. I was like, this character is kind of messed up. This is crazy. Yeah. But very well done.
Yeah, cool.
Very well done. Very good portrayal. I kind of want to hear some of your behind the scenes. Like, there was a very simple one. This was by Fizz3221. And I don't know if you're going to have an answer to this. Maybe you'll have an answer like literally right away. But what is, if you have one, your favorite battle that you've done so far?
Doofenshmirtz versus Dr. Doom.
Really? Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Clarify, that's my favorite that's out. Like I just said earlier.
Yeah.
My favorite is something that I've been working on for 2 years that I haven't finished yet. But when that's out, that'll be my favorite. But if the battles that have come out so far, Doofenshmirtz versus Dr. Doom is my favorite. I said by far. I guess it's not by far, but it's just I'm the most proud of what I was able to accomplish with that one.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the ambition of it and the ideas and how unique it is versus the execution, it's just the best one I've done. And also, I'm a massive MF Doom fan, and I
showed.
Phineas and Ferb. I watched Phineas and Ferb growing up, and so both of the characters meant a lot to me. I was very attached to the idea of doing Dr. Doom as like an MF Doom kind of character portrayal that also he's still Victor, but it's like an MF Doom version of Victor.
Yeah.
And I love everyone who I was able to work with on it. True Evil Villain, who did Doom. Rekty, who did Doof. Luke, who did the Doof animation. I thought he did a fantastic job. Like, just everyone I worked with was a dream. It didn't even really take that... Like, it took a while to make, obviously, because it's very involved, but there wasn't any kind of production nightmare in it like some of the other projects have had.
Nice.
And just in terms of the end product, like... Man, those Doom verses I could listen to. I don't like to watch or re-listen to my battles that much, but the Doom verses are an exception. I'm very proud of those.
And talking about like making a battle sound like good, like lyrically, and like actually as a song, like that one, it stands out heavily with that. Yeah, man. That breakdown part in the middle when he switches his flow, Doom's that part. Oh my gosh. It's so good, dude. Yeah, very memorable. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, if I were to ask the audience, I'm curious, how about everyone watching this, I want to hear what your favorite is, because I feel like I'm at a point where everyone kind of has a different answer, and I think that's awesome. Yeah. I think a lot of creators kind of get stuck in a trap where they make one thing that really good and really blows up, and then they're kind of always trying to chase that high again for the rest of their careers.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone, like, I've even seen a lot of people say Dutchman versus K. Rool is their favorite. And, like, that makes me happy because a lot of people really, that was, like, their least favorite, you know?
Yeah, and I'm interested why, you know? Like,
Well, I mean,
what do you think your take is?
A variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Well, why people didn't like it, I think it's because it was way more focused on the song than the characterization.
Okay.
And I didn't really write any of it. Like, it was guest written by Peso and Lime.
Yeah.
So the writing is different.
Yeah.
And, like, the Dutchman, like, I wasn't super stingy on, I need it to be a super accurate portrayal of the Flying Dutchman from the SpongeBob show.
Right.
And I also, like, a lot of people were hoping that I would do King K. Rool from the Donkey Kong show, which I also didn't do.
I was going to say, I didn't even know there was a show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, there is.
Wow.
People were really... some people were disappointed that I didn't use that portrayal of King K. Rool.
I'm looking this up.
But, like, I had kind of conditioned people to expect fully driven, super accurate portrayals of the characters that I used. And so when the battle came out, and it was kind of my own take on both of the characters, with guest writing and a super aggressive, loud sound that
yeah.
a lot of people said they weren't a fan of.
True.
I think it just turned people off because it wasn't what they were expecting, which is what I was expecting going into it.
Right.
I figured some people would really like it, some people really wouldn't. I think in the 7 months since it's been out, I've seen more people come around to it and see what I was going for. Yeah. I still love that one to bits, but it's one of the most, like, unique ones I've done, I guess.
Yeah.
I totally get why someone wouldn't like it. But what I was going to say is, like, it makes me really happy that that even that's someone's favorite, because I feel like I've just made so many projects now that you just never know what's going to connect with people, you know?
Right.
And I would get in my own head about, like, oh, you know, Mr. Wolfer's Dogman isn't the best project I've ever done, and people are going to be disappointed it's not as complex as Cartman versus Charlie or whatever. But I still got a lot of comments from people saying it was their favorite one I've done, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can never tell what's going to resonate with people. And it makes me really happy to hear that everyone, I don't want to say everyone, but like a lot of people have different favorites. And I really like it when people explain why they're their favorites, like what the project means to them personally, why it resonated. So that's your homework, the people watching, if you got to this point. I want to hear what your favorite one was and why.
Yeah.
And I'll respond to some of them if I see any people, if anyone makes it this far.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll know if you didn't make it this far because you're doing this now. And if you watch this, you didn't make it this far, you're not a real fan. I know we're closing in our hour, and I want to be respectful of the time. I did want to ask, are there any franchises and characters that you don't want to do, that you've been requested or seen other people do, overused, etc.? And that was by Beatbrella.
I don't like to say never.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a franchise that I would pass on. I think, honestly, most of the ones I would pass on are kind of boring, and the reason I wouldn't do them is because, you know, they're boring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but the first example that comes to mind is the Nintendo franchise ARMS. I really like ARMS. And
True.
I like the characters in it.
Yeah.
But it's... people aren't going to watch it, and there isn't a whole lot I can do with the characters. Yeah. So I wouldn't use that. But, like, in terms of most series that are big, like, I would say the biggest hurdle is, like, what I was saying earlier with One Piece and Dragon Ball. Yeah. Like, I will use those characters, or at least they're very much on the table.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not doing it unless I watch the show. And so if a show's very long and complicated, and I haven't seen it, then I'm not using any characters from that show until I've seen it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's probably the best answer. I'm really trying to think of like a satisfying, but I don't know, like most of the time I use series or shows or games or whatever that I really like.
Right.
Or that I learned to really like as I'm doing research. Like, I didn't really care about Dogman until I started working on the project. And I'm not, like, saying I'm a diehard, you know, Dogman fanatic, but
yeah.
I appreciated it as I was working on it, you know? I kind of was engrossed in the material. Same with the bad guys.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, even, like... Yeah, I don't know. I'm really trying to
you're
think of
good.
Something, but I don't think I have an answer for a series that a lot of people really want that I'm saying no to. So hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully that means whatever your most wanted character is or series, that they're still on the table. It really just comes down to when, like if the timing aligns and if I have the time to research it and if I find the right matchup more than who the character is exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So this last one I wanted to ask, because it kind of piggybacks off of that one. It's by Jabe or Jabe. So are there any anime characters for chapter 3, or are all of the other ones cartoon based still? Do you know?
I'm trying to decide if I want to answer this.
No, yeah. Can you answer however you want to answer? You know, I'm not gonna pry anything from you.
I will say that I'm working on a couple anime projects, but they're not for chapter 3.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're far out. Okay.
Yeah, but that it also doesn't necessarily mean they're for chapter 4.
Oh.
And that doesn't mean they're for chapter 5. Like, I'm talking, like, I'm working on something big right now outside of the chapters that anime may or may not be involved with in some way, shape, or form.
I
So
like that.
that's what I'll give you.
I like that.
For chapter 3 specifically, probably no. But anime projects in the future, I say near future, like next year or two.
Yeah.
Probably. You'll see.
That's dope. I'm excited. That's really cool. Well, I don't want to overstep with time. This hour flew. I just want to say that for everybody watching. This, like I said in the beginning, this is the first time I've gotten to speak with Eddie, which has been true blessing. Eddie's been such an awesome support to the channel and just a great positive member in the community, putting out these amazing battles that I really look forward to every time I see one's dropping and I rush home, and it's awesome. Not many things make me do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, anything else you wanted to leave? Any final remarks?
I guess if you haven't seen it yet, go sub to my channel and go watch Mr. Wolf versus Dogman.
Linked in the description.
Last week. I don't know when this is the interview coming out. The same week we're recording it.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, if you haven't seen Mr. Wolf vs. Dogman, that's the new project I'm working on, or I just finished working on and released. Go watch that. Doing pretty well so far, but I made it to be enjoyed. So hopefully you go watch it and you like it. Also, Josiah has a reaction, so after you're done watching it, go to his channel and watch the reaction. And then I wanted to say thank you for having me on, and thank you to everyone who sat through watching us, listening to me ramble about the stuff I'm working on. And I have so much more planned in the future. I've spent so much time thinking about what it's going to be like when this is done and when this is announced and when this is released. I've purposely stopped announcing new stuff for the foreseeable future because I've announced so many projects that aren't done yet. But once that backlog is starting to clear out, I have a bombshell to drop on everyone.
Let's go
to show us next.
That's so hype.
I'm working on something huge, and I have been for a while now. So
nice, dude.
Keep an eye out later this year for an announcement and hopefully release of that.
Bet.
So yeah, that's all I got to say.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eddie, for being here, and thank you for watching. If you've made it this far and you're not subscribed, I literally don't know what's going on. Why? Just hit it. You know what I mean? Just hit the button. It's really easy. And thank you guys for this episode of the podcast. Let me know any new guests you guys want from the FRB community, or, I don't know if anybody else will want to talk to me, but hey, if they do, I would love to have them. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.